Hey, Otakus, what's up? Your tour guide here. You're in for an exciting session as always. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good week. Um, as you know, I've taken medical leave and I've been focusing on losing weight, um, getting in better shape, building some muscle in the core areas. Um, so hopefully alleviate some of the pain I'm having and just set me up for long just looking long term. It's ultimately going to be good for um, managing back pain and being just more agile, flexible, and mobile. So just really taking this time to take care of myself and also as even as I'm focusing on my physical you know health and being more active, I'm also taking an online course to get a certification which I believe, if I do end up going back to Japan, will help me um, uh, gain employment there, gain competitive employment there. So that's something I'm also kind of doing in the background. Um, but without further ado, we're going to get to this week's Otaku Top 10. And you've got to forgive me. I say I want to be more consistent with my content and all that, but I don't come up with the top 10 books in advance. I kind of reserve it for last minute, and because you never know what kind of news is going to break right up until Friday, so we never want to like preconceive our lists. Uh, you know, get ahead of ourselves um, before we've actually you know had an opportunity to digest all the week's news and all that. But with that being said, I there's a specific book that I thought was pretty relevant and significant, and I'm trying to locate it now. And I had like 5, 10 minutes before the show where I was focusing on this, and then I realized, oh man, I am not going to find this book. So I decided to go on live, and I do have a bunch of books. Uh, Not all the books I wanted to maybe cover, but I'm gonna look one last place, and if it's not there, we'll just go with what we have. But if it is there, then we will have succeeded. And I'm trying to think of where I put that. I want to say I put it. That it would be in here, maybe. Let's put this one. We'll pass through. No, it's not here. Pretty sure it would be in here, but I just looked through there and I didn't find it. So let's look again. Pretty sure it can. Oh, Okay, well, we're just gonna have to go with the replacement book. Go with this replacement book. All right. All right. Well, let me get the list kind of in order here, and we'll go from there. Alrighty. There we go. All right, let's count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Perfect. We got it. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're getting to the list now. All right. Here is this week's Otaku Weekly Top 10. And we start off here with number 10 and a tribute to Sal Buscema. Sal passed away this week, and there's a lot of people, putting out tributes to Mr. Buscema. And, I didn't, it's not that I didn't mean to. I obviously had heard the news, but I went into a session of Otaku Reads His Comics, and I didn't mention the passing, which is unfortunate because I could have just taken a minute or two to say something. But yeah, Monday we didn't take advantage of that, and I am taking advantage of this time to recognize the great contributions of Sal Buscema to Marvel Comics. And he was one of those lifetime Marvel guys. He had done so much background work for Marvel, but mainly is where he had kind of the biggest footprint in Marvel was for the Incredible Hulk title. Now, I don't collect Incredible Hulk, or I don't even collect much of that Bronze Age of Marvel era books. But I do want to share this book, which is from my era, and Sal Buscema is featured as the interior artist on this issue of Thor 373. This is the 25th anniversary border edition, and this is a signature edition signed by Walt Simonson, their beautiful Walt Simonson signature right there. And on this beautiful Thor cover, man, this was, forget what I picked this up for, but I just remember it being a great deal. And, again, don't own too many Sal Buscema books, unfortunately, but I do want to recognize this book in my collection because it showcases, his, his large footprint in Marvel. He has such a wide range of contributions, both artistically and I think he's featured on some books as a writer as well. Not too many, but mostly he's doing inking duties or he's doing pencils throughout his era of work. Contributed so much through the Bronze Age, mid to late Bronze Age, all the way up through the modern. So I just want to really give a shout out to Sal and mark the loss of a really critical period for Marvel here. All right. How's number 10? Whew, boy. This is another book I forgot to mention last week. And the funny thing is, like, I had created a thumbnail for my video, the top 10 last week. And again, I was just scrambling to get books, 10 books, and I just forgot to put this at the top of the, one of the top books to feature last week. So it didn't make the list, not because of the intention. I definitely intended to be in there. It just was more of execution. I got a late start, tried to find books, and just ended up picking out 10 books, kind of top of mind. And again, this one kind of slipped through the cracks. So I am, again, remedying the for this not being on the list. Now, last week, this list would have been more timely, but it still remains rather big news because, as you know, Maxima, during this is her first appearance right here. This is 1980. I think it's an 89 book. Yeah, 1989. And she would play a prominent role in the death of Superman, as well as a member of the Justice League during this late, this 90s, early 90s period of the Justice League. So the announcement by James Gunn that Maxima has been cast for the next Superman movie is quite big news. In a lot of regards, it really draws focus to this period here and what the intention of focusing on the early 90s period can only mean that maybe in the back of, they're keeping the death of Superman in their back pocket, essentially, I think. I think essentially, when you look at, okay, what's the big climactic, we're building towards something. And if we're building towards something, what climactic scenario would we build towards? And I think realistically, because you have all the sort of foundational pieces established already. You've got Metropolis, you've got the Daily Planet staff. If they were to build towards something and do something like the death of Superman, it doesn't necessarily have to be Doomsday, but of course, Doomsday would make the most sense. That if that's sort of the, let's build towards something kind of scenario, that is a really good thing, I think, to build towards. It makes at least Superman fans excited. Superman fans like myself excited. I can't speak for all Superman fans, but Superman fans like myself excited, because I think ultimately that storyline is again, it's not only the most read Superman series of all time, it's the most read comic book run of all time. And I've outlined this argument many times before, but essentially what it comes down to is, don't look at copies sold, because you're looking at marketing gimmicks like connecting covers or trading card stuff. Not to say Superman didn't have that gimmick. It did have a polybag edition. But when you look at subsequent sales, for example, Adventures of Superman 500, that's a subsequent sale from the death. You've actually got more sales. And these kinds of issues were such high in demand. It's not like you could get multiple copies. You were lucky to even get one. So it had multiple subsequent printings as well. So when you tally up all the initial sales and the subsequent sales, we have Death and Adventures 500 being with within the top five of all time. And again, mind you, they're not multiple copies that are being sold. Usually people are just buying one copy. So if you take into consideration those kinds of sales, it's really uh, one person, like the footprint of how many fans it reached was much, much larger than anything Marvel ever did. And ironically, that kind of the most read, the most, some of the highest selling books of all time at DC sadly came right around the demise of the comic book industry, the bubble, because then Marvel would soon um, go into bankruptcy and remediate their restructuring. DC would hang on to survive, but all the Image studios struggled. Wildstorm ended up being sold to DC. I mean, it was just chaos there in the late 90s, and uh, yeah, it's kind of like it peaked at Superman. It peaked at this run, and then the cards kind of all, you know, as Superman died, so did the industry. Kind of, I guess you could look at it that way. But of course, they brought Superman back, but that didn't help the lagging sales because just people were kind of getting into this hobby for the wrong reasons, and once they realized, hey, these books aren't worth much, it kind of took the wind out of a lot of, and also people, kids like myself that got into it. Life happened, and you know, uh, we moved on from comic books, so that's part of it. But yeah, um, again, getting back to this book, the fact that we're getting Maxima says a lot about where James Gunn's head is and where he's pulling content from. So yeah, this is an exciting time for this era of comic books. If you've read it, if you've collected it. All right, so that is our number 9 book. Moving right along here. Number 8. The Cyclops, suit reveal continues to be top of mind still. I think there's a lot of buzz around the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we've got actually a lot of hints through some of the trailer teasers and things that have been launched this past week. Marvel's really just kind of like giving us little bite-sized tidbits to tease and speculate and all that. But I think most fans already have a pretty good idea of where we're headed, what we're likely to see. And I think Marvel is trying to give us as much of the kind of nostalgic key moments in Marvel comic books as they can. It won't be completely comic accurate, but they're trying to build the essence of what's happened in comic books and bring that to the fore. Now, whether we see Cyclops exit the X-Men in this one, no, probably not. But will we see some version of, Cyclops leaving the team in, hey, what's up, fanboy? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. Yeah, glad to keep you company while you work. So yeah, I think what we see in the new timeline of X-Men, not the Fox series, but the new Marvel Cinematic Universe version, we're going to get kind of origin stories, backstories on all these characters. I think in a real sort of team, introducing the uh, I don't know if it'll continue to be called the MCU, but it'll be the um, full content Marvel continuity. It'll be like Disney saying, "Hey, here are all the Marvel comic book universe characters in one universe in one timeline," and they'll take their time with the major set pieces. The major set piece being X-Men. So hopefully we'll see more of this kind of Byrne Claremont type approach to the stories, because I'd love to see things like, the Skrulls introduced. I'd like to see the you know uh, the what's it called, Emma Frost and the something club, I forget the club's name, and if the Phoenix done properly, right, that'd be kind of cool. So yeah, I'm just hoping, I think this being just one of like Cyclops's huge turning of points, right? Him trying to recover after losing the love of his life. This sets the wheels in motion on the team splitting up for a time being, the X Factor coming into into being, and then of course the return of Jean Grey and all that. So really key stuff here. Excited for the future. All right, well, what would Otaku Weekly be without some Supergirl, Superman books? And I just had to feature, there's no real big Supergirl news. We're just getting more, obviously the Lobo drop was huge, but we're getting more like confirmation on kind of where, again, where our character is going to fit into this. Will we see additional characters introduced? I still think we're in line to see the tease for a big villain. This is just me speaking off the cuff. There's been nothing rumored or anything. I just think, we're going to get, whether they set up Brainiac in this one to some degree for the following Superman movie, or if they tease something else, something bigger. But I think we're going to get some kind of, let's just say, I wouldn't be surprised if they tease Darkseid at the end of Supergirl. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened. Partly because the way Gunn has approached this, the fact that he's just kind of off the cuff introducing Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, without much backstory. He's just he's trusting fans to, obviously he's also giving all the sort of the deep background stuff through social media and giving fans sort of the backdrop of who these characters are in the pressers. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did the same kind of approach for some of the villains as well. And specifically, Darkseid doesn't need really any introduction. I mean, if you've been reading comic books or been watching Saturday morning cartoons, Darkseid is really arguably DC's top villain. He's kind of like the Doctor Doom of the DC cinematic. Well, I shouldn't say DC cinematic yet, because we don't know what that looks like. But in terms of the DC comic books, yeah, he's definitely up there, arguably up there. So yeah, that's kind of like a prediction here on my part. I make a lot of predictions, and some of them come true, some of them don't. But a lot of my big ones have come true. So take that with a grain of salt. I think we will see some big tease of a villain that they're going, of a villain that they're going to introduce in an upcoming movie. They're going to tease another big villain, and not Brainiac. I don't think it'll be Brainiac, but wouldn't surprise. I mean, that would be the easy way to go, just to tease Brainiac and set him up for the next movie. But I think it will be something that'll just, shock a lot of viewers. It's going to be a reveal that's just going to leave a lot of people leaving the theater in shock. And Supergirl's a perfect. It's positioning and the sequencing of these things is perfect for setting that up. So looking forward to that, and that should be big. All right, just taking my socks off here. All right, that is our number. What is that? 10, 9, 8, 7. That was our 7 book. And our number 6 book. Just staying with the whole Jason Momoa kind of momentum here. Lobo was atop the list last week. He's kind of down, but he remains number 6 on the list. And the reason he remains 6 on the list is because, I think of all the kind of buzz and excitement for the upcoming content, Lobo is definitely creating the loudest splash. I mean, when you compare the announcement of X-Men in Doomsday with the, Cyclops' optic blast, the buzz around that versus the buzz around Lobo, it was way in favor of Lobo. I mean, Lobo was just, people were freaking out. Cyclops had, a good amount of content, but when Lobo dropped, it just kind of broke the internet there for a couple days with just people losing their minds. And it's not like it was a big drop. Everybody knew that Jason Momoa was going to play Lobo, but we got our first look, and everybody's on board, it seems, and really excited about it. So I don't have too many. This is the only Superman versus the Lobo book I have. I think there are 2 previous fights before this one. There's one fight in particular where they're fighting in Metropolis, on the Daily Planet, near the Daily Planet building or something. That's the book I want. That's it's a dollar bin book, but it's a pretty cool book to have. So that'd be the one I'd target. But I picked up this one for 33 cents, which is less than cover here. Thought that was worth picking up. And you got some great John Bogdanovich art here, and some Dennis Janke here on a classic Superman Man of Steel issue here. Great cover. When you think about the fights these two have. This one here, the outcome is all Superman. I mean, Superman wipes the floor with Lobo, and Superman attains. This is a little bit after he returns, and it's kind of unsure coming back from the regeneration process, how strong he'll be. He's considerably more powerful, and Lobo finds out the hard way. So this is a great fighting issue that showcases the Advantage Superman. All right. That is our number 6 book. Here is number 5. And, this is, I did want to feature a specific book for Gambit. So if Gambit remains in the news and all that, I'll be sure to prepare that other book. But in the meantime, I could not find the Gambit book I wanted to feature, but instead we'll feature this great Gambit cover by the great Jim Lee. One of his all-time great X-Men covers here. He had a relatively short stint on X-Men, but it was steady and constant. So even though it was a short stint, you do have a sizable number of books to target and collect. And this is his earliest, like some of his earliest works and some of his best works at Marvel. So he's not really doing a lot for Marvel. He definitely has way more contributions to DC. There's a lot more DC related items to as a collector. So if you're a Jim Lee collector, you really you kind of cherish the Marvel works over the DC works. And to be honest, his Marvel stuff is some of his best work of all time. And he's obviously gotten much better as an artist. He's gotten much better in terms of his efficiency, although he doesn't have time now. Here he had a lot of time to work on stuff and get it perfect. Now he's better at attaining perfection in a more efficient, timely manner, but he's got less time to produce stuff. So it's kind of ironic. Starting out, he had all the time in the world to put out to make stuff like this, and now that he's successful and he's better at what he does. The ironic thing is he doesn't have the time. So again, just appreciate kind of where he was in his career versus where he is now. That produced a work like this. And Gambit. Let's talk about Gambit. In the a lot of the Doom sort of I think there were some teaser trailers that if you looked at the Easter eggs, there were hints at what Doom will look like, what his costume will look like, as well as what other Marvel heroes, what their design and their costumes will look like. And of course, you have the full gamut of Marvel characters there. You have X-Men, Thor, Captain America, Spider-Man, all these great characters, and even the Incredible Hulk, right? But again, in one of these Easter egg trailer teasers, there was a list of people named or who had signed a card to Doctor Doom, and it included, again, Nightcrawler, Mystique, people we've seen in the Fox X-Men, but it also had the name Gambit, whom we haven't seen up to this point. So that cues us into another potential character that could be there, which is Jubilee. Jubilee would be, it doesn't make sense to introduce a 90s character like Gambit and leave the likes of Jubilee, who has a great kind of mentor-mentee kind of relationship with Wolverine. Although it's never like formal, it really is a relational mentor-mentee type relationship they have. They both they're not outwardly affectionate toward one another, but there's sort of this again, he kind of looks after her, and she kind of worries about his well-being as well. So there's sort of like a mutual fondness there. It's difficult to frame that. They're not really friends. They're not really like lovers or love interests. It's really kind of um, again, like a mentorship. It's like you and I are here on the same team, but you know, you're wet behind the ears, and I'm the grizzly veteran kind of dynamic. So that definitely needs to play out. And if there's any indication that the X-Men moving forward in the cinematic is going to reflect the X-Men from the 90s series, the X-Men 97 animated series, then it makes sense for the animated series to get their act together and accelerate the introduction of Jubilee, as well as the cinematic, that happening in the cinematic as well. All right, so Jim Lee book here, X-Men 4, first appearance of Omega Red. And there you go. That is our number 4 book. We're down to the last 3 books. What will they be? Or no, wait, that was 5. That was the number 5 book. We got 4 more books. And number 4 will be Dr. Doom. Doom, da, da, doom, doom. All right. So again, in those teasers and whatnot, we got teased the kind of visuals of Dr. Doom. Nothing terribly surprising there. The design of Doom remains consistent and comic accurate. So minor tweaks here and there, which is to be expected. But for the most part, he looks like Dr. Doom. He's got the mask. He's got everything kind of there. So I just decided to put this really classic Doom cover, probably Jack's best Doom cover, if you ask me. He does do a lot of Doom covers during the run, but this is, like, again, pretty early, relatively early in the sort of Doom versus Fantastic Four saga. Key issue here is probably at the height or peak of Doom's kind of popularity or Fantastic Four's popularity here. And yeah, he's at the forefront of this cover. Definitely menacing, and again, great piece of artwork here. This is iconic piece of comic artwork, actually. And yeah, outside of Doom's first appearance, I don't know if that, obviously the first appearance there is the big book you want to have, but outside of that, this is probably one I'd target as a must-have for Doom collectors. And it's a big one there. So number 4, we got Fantastic Four 57, Jack Kirby's iconic Dr. Doom cover. Whew. All right, counting down. We're down to number 3 on the list. We got some big teases here on the next character. We've been going through this weekly sort of carousel of characters that have been kind of teased or we're expecting to come. They include the likes of, Mr. Miracle. They include the likes of Big Barda. They include the likes of, like, Maxima. And you know, all of this kind of leads us to believe, well, let's get a few things straight here. This is our number 3 book on the list, but I do want to establish some things here because first off, we know, let's focus on what we do know. I'm going to kind of contrast to, or I did this exercise previously, so forgive me if I'm kind of being redundant, but I do want to focus on its relevance to this conversation. So as you can see, we've got 3 eras here. We've got the late 80s era, late 80s, early 90s era. This is what, 90, 89, 80, what is that? 89. Again, this is the era I think Gunn's really particularly focused on. And the reason I can say that is because we have 1, 2, he's not confirmed yet, but for all intents and purposes, Flash is a foundational member of the Justice League. He will be introduced at some point. He will be part of the Justice League. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, those guys will be there no matter what. 6, 7. So, and now 8. We got 8 confirmed on this era of the Justice League, or the gang, right? So plus we got Maxwell Lord confirmed, right? So that's technically 9. And Gunn mentioned this is the run that inspired, that really he's kind of focused on. He loved these comic books. He loved the tone of this era, the modern tone of the book. And that's kind of what he's going with. So this is, for all intents and purposes, kind of what we're going to initially get. I think you're going to initially get just a bunch of like wackos, people like just a bunch of nut jobs, people kind of like Maxima, right? Just people kind of like who don't have a real code for being a superhero. They're just kind of powerful. And you're going to have them kind of be all the inclusion, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're going to have the DEI Justice League, where everybody's invited. Everybody can kind of, if you have powers and you like dressing up in a costume or something, you're welcome. Kind of open door policy here. And I think that's what we're going to get initially, right? Initially, we're going to get this sort of this all-inclusive, like who's who, like version of the Justice League. And then it's going to get pared down. Superman and company are going to just knock a few heads and say, look, no, not anybody can be a member of the Justice League. The Justice League is really, it's a team, and it's a coordinated team, and it's a team built on like trust, right? You got to trust that you will be a responsible and representative member of the values that we hold as guardians of the earth, guardians of human civilization, guardians against the forces that be, both cosmic and domestic. And so it's really one of those scenarios, I think, where you'll have sort of this kind of like non-definitive inclusive group, but it'll cause strife from within or issues. And then you're just going to see the heroes, kind of real heroes, kind of show up and say, okay, we're the real Justice League, and not anybody can be a member of our club. In fact, I can see Batman being like you're out. Like he's gonna be like, there's gonna be some kind of I imagine it's gonna be Batman versus Guy Gardner, but it's gonna be some kind of like, look, um, you don't have what it takes to be a hero, so go do something somewhere else, or you have us to contend with. And yeah, you're just going to get a paring down of the Justice League. So my book of this week to focus on Martian Manhunters kind of teasing is to really focus on this 90s group. We already have, again, in this group, everybody's confirmed. We already have Hawkgirl, we already have John Stewart confirmed. We know the Trinity's coming. We know Flash is coming. So pretty much you can bank on this being the core group there. And this is, again, a mid 90s introduction of the Justice League through the animated series. This animated series is so good. And it's so representative of a new kind of concept for the Justice League because of the two because it was, it was Al Jordan and it was Aquaman as the original group, right? Versus the group we get here. So it really is sort of it's kind of the same, but different. You got a kind of classic team here versus a new school team here. And I really, really like the new school team. And I'm all for this team being sort of the pared down version. So that's kind of a speculatory kind of vision on my part, but we'll see how it plays out. But again, I think the mid 90s version is set up to be the true Justice League. And of course, you can obviously you'll have characters like Aquaman, you'll have characters like Green Arrow kind of jump into the mix once in a while, but it will really be foundationally these 7 characters. All right, we're down now to number 2 on the list, and this is back on our top 10 list. Partly because I could have probably picked a better representative DC book. Got a lot of DC representative books here, but I just love this Neil Adams book so much. Yeah, I just, every time I look at this book, it just is so good. It's super spectacular. That's what it is. It's 100 out of 100. Yeah, getting back to this, why I chose this book. I'm going to share something else with you here. Just give me a moment here. I'm going to find it first. Basically, the news dropped this week of the top 50 best-selling comic books in 2025. And we'll just get to what it is. Probably should have featured Batman. So Marvel Comics is just 7 issues on 2025 top 50, only places thanks to crossovers and relaunches. So it really was like the top selling comic books this year were all DC books or independent books. There were absolutely, like, obviously you had this one here, Marvel Comics here, but it was a Batman crossover one. Ultimate Wolverine, also a crossover. Amazing Spider-Man #1. That was actually an original book, I think. One World Under Doom, that was an original book. But then crossover, Marvel Rivals crossover, Ultimate Spider-Man actual book, Fantastic Four actual book. So in the top 25 though, it's like they had one actual Marvel book. The rest were pretty much DC related books. Which isn't so if you look at the top 25, it was mostly mostly DC dominated. And that's really interesting to me because this was not the case in previous years. In previous years, Marvel had dominated the sales. And then, DC kind of relatively caught up in recent years quite quickly because they were just putting out really good, like a diverse set of like scenarios, characters. They're targeting a large swath of characters, a lot of young readers, a lot of young women readers, a lot of young like teenage girl readers, teenage boy readers, young men, young women, and obviously introducing a wide array of stories, not just your typical superhero stories, but sort of everyday kind of going to school, dealing with, the political and stressors of everyday life kind of issues in comic books. So it's just really interesting to see how again, I want to harken back to this book for a minute because I think it really is. We can talk about this at length too. Jim Lee took over as president of DC Comics 2 years ago, I want to say. Yeah, it's been about 2 years. And he really had he had a bold kind of, not even bold, he kind of had a goal or a objective in place when he kind of took the reins. And one was to put fun back into comic books. That was like one of his major objectives. And the second was to feature the great talents of the artists and creators they had at DC. So, DC obviously has, like the likes of Tom King, the likes of Joel Jones. Like they have this like incredible, they've got guys like Dan Mora. They've got guys like Marv Wolfman. I mean, you've got Mark Waid. And you've got these like just actually Marv Wolfman. I don't know if he's done a comic book recently, but my point is they've got all these great creators, both old and new, contributing, and again, kind of under the umbrella of the DC universe. There's a lot of characters there. There's a lot of different voices, and then when you bring them together for things like big events and whatnot, it really resonates. Well, 2025, it kind of all came to a head with the Absolute introduction of the Absolute series. Scott Snyder really hit it out of the park with Absolute Batman. And then you get the other Trinity characters. Now you've just got this absolute fever where, again, this just harkens back to when I was collecting. You just have a really good event being built along individual lines, and then you have something kind of coalescing into a larger larger universe. And now you've got characters like Absolute Joker, probably an Absolute Luther down the path, or Absolute Bizarro, something kind of really taking the Absolute's really about taking these characters and then amping um, them up in a more horrific, terrifying, traumatic kind of nature. And yeah, again, Jim Lee has been steering the ship. With all his experience as a creator, knowing what sells, kind of knowing what fans want, he's been giving them just a steady feed of the stuff that sells and the stuff that's popular. Now, he recently made comments, and I'm going to make myself big here for a moment. He recently made comments because he had, again, been to Japan Con recently, worked with Peach Momoko promoting DC Comics in Japan, and he understands the challenge of trying to sell American comic books to a manga reading population. You just can't do it. Manga has such a strong foundation because of the storytelling. It really is like a free form of storytelling because you don't have any limits to the page count, right? You can kind of create a volume. You have a lot of space to work with. And so you can make things as slow, things as detailed as you want them to be. You don't have to pack everything or just kind of gloss over a time frame. You can literally spend the morning just showing what happened that morning to a character, versus like American comic books where you have to speed through and kind of work toward a week's worth of stuff in 20 some odd pages. And Jim recently highlighted the strengths of manga and why it has such a huge readership, not only here in the US, but globally. And rather than trying to force American comics down the throats of Japanese readers, he realized, you know what, we've got to adapt and we've got to make American comic books more universal, more better in terms of their storytelling. The artwork is there, the quality of the art, the quality of the artwork is there. It's really the structure of this floppy that's holding the creative sort of tendencies of the medium to where it is. It just can't compete with manga because it doesn't have the bandwidth to do so. So I think it strategically makes sense for DC to focus on not only its price point moving forward, but also the format. I think you're going to end up seeing kind of manga-like volumes from DC. Not necessarily for superhero content, but for just different kinds of characters, different kinds of stories. And you're going to see things branching out at DC from the superhero genre. It's literally going to be like maybe, sports genre or a love romance genre or just high school drama genre. You're just going to see a lot of these different genres that didn't exist in American comic books start to pop up in American comic books. And I think that's a good, I've been saying this for a long time, but manga really does have an advantage from both an artistic and a storytelling perspective, because it's a medium that really can be more broad than a novel, can be as broad as a novel, I should say, and can be as broad as a movie experience. But you're telling it through, again, panels of artwork. And again, sequentially, taking nothing away from the sequential nature of today's modern comic book. But in a lot of ways, modern comic books have lost the sort of the storytelling nature of the earliest versions of the comic book characters, where it's focused on dialogue, focused on situations and scenarios where the action wasn't, like a billion miles a minute. It was kind of more just, everyday stuff. And it turned into like this stuff. Of course, Jim Lee's the master of this kind of stuff. But now that he's heading the ship, he's kind of like actually shooting his bread and butter in the foot by saying, hey, look, we need to do better. We need to tell a broader range of stories, and we need to do it at different pacing, at different, in terms of different volumes too. We can't just expect all stories to be told in a kind of limited capacity, page count capacity, because we've got a distribution that can't, we can't just so suddenly like start making thicker bags and boards and all that. We got a hobby to support, but at the same time, you really could pivot from this and also introduce more manga. And I don't even want to say manga. I just want to say kind of more, larger volume comics, right? Kind of more like trade paperback type formats, like serial trade paperback formats. That would be something I think a lot of fans would appreciate, because fans can gobble up volumes of content, and it just makes sense that, yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ron. How you doing, man? Thanks for joining. The sticks matter most. I don't even want to say it's manga versus comics. It's American comics being more pliable to adopt some of the things that are working in manga and just kind of tell this. And again, it doesn't have to be superhero stuff. It can be, for example, what's a great example here? Kind of like Something is Killing the Children, right? Something is Killing the Children. If you did that kind of in a more manga-esque format, where you're telling a sort of a slower paced story in a manga format, that's going to give you more to kind of chomp on, more details, more kind of story based kind of writing versus kind of more of an action based type scenario. You're just going to have a better overall readership and experience if you take that approach for those kinds of genres, right? Obviously, Something is Killing Children is like suspense / horror, but you can, again, kind of take the slow approach with a lot of different kinds of stories, things you would kind of more normally reserve for a novel, maybe, right? If you enjoy reading a novel about science sci-fi, or enjoy reading a novel about spy, espionage, these kinds of things can be told in comic books, and that's exactly what manga does. Manga doesn't limit itself. It kind of just has so many different micro subgenres to choose from, and it's time. I think DC kind of caters to that for American audiences. So I like what I'm hearing from Jim Lee, and definitely something to watch as comic book fans. See how comic books evolve, and this could be a new age of comic books that DC kind of initiates. So we'll see how it plays out. Killing children, is it Peanuts? It's not Peanuts comics, unfortunately. Oh, I miss Peanuts. Charlie Brown and the Gang. Those are great comics. Those are classic comics right there. 3 panels, 4 panels. comics just ends up, good grief, poor Charlie Brown. All right, we're down to our top book of the week, and this has been remained on our list for the past couple of sessions. I guess I don't have to kind of put it down here and just show it off. We're at the frenzied peak of this Superman versus Spider-Man crossover that's coming. I mean, it's reaching full on feverish pitch. I don't know any comic book collector that isn't excited about this series. And does it? Manga means sleeves in Spanish. All right, that's good. Yeah, manga. I would recommend rereading a manga book. It's hard to read a manga book because you have to read like 26 volumes. It's like 26 books, but within one volume, I would say you have probably 5 or 6 comic books worth of stuff. So to cover 26 volumes in American comic books, you have to read about 100 comic books, right? Which is, and then again, the way comic books are paced, reading 100, you're reading like 100 separate, maybe like 30 to 40 separate stories, like story arcs in 100, in the volumes you read in one story arc manga. So it's quite different. And I think that's what Jim Lee was kind of harping on. He's like, we're just so set in our ways with American comic books that we don't see what's going on in manga and we define ourselves as that's manga, this is American comic books. And, adopting their stuff would fundamentally change the identity of this American medium, when really manga is the American medium. Manga started and it was inspired by the comic strips of the early 20th century. And it just evolved into something different over time in Japan, but foundationally it's from the same source. So for American comic books to adapt to what manga is doing is actually just evolving from its own art form. It's not like it has to compromise its cultural identity. It's all shared sort of human cultural history anyway. So that's kind of my point with the whole Jim Lee, supporting Jim Lee toward branching out, redefining American comics in a way that will make it more competitive globally and make it more satisfying for its current fan base. Cool. All right, well, back to number 1. Superman, Spider-Man. I can't think of a comic book series in recent, because we're talking about, we've never been in a period where Superman was at its peak and Spider-Man was at its peak. Like, we've never been there. Like, Superman had its peak probably around the launch of the Christopher Reeve movie. And before then, it was like the best-selling comic book. So Superman's always been at its peak, and Spider-Man's kind of just struggled to catch up, right? It's just been like, hey, look at me, I'm Spider-Man. And this kind of was like the closest, I guess, it came to like two characters being at their peak, but it was really more like, hey, DC's peak guy versus Marvel's peak guy. And it just kind of was featured here. But then when you get to like movies and like popular culture and stuff, you kind of had Superman ride a wave and then decline. Then you kind of had Spider-Man emerge and kind of ride the waves here and there, right? I think Spider-Man more recently, ever since the Tobey Maguire movie, it's just been kind of an IP that fans expect to see, kind of like Batman, right? You just expect to see a Spider-Man movie made every couple of years. The formula hasn't changed, right? Usually some high school or college age kid navigating powers and his social life and making jokes and slinging webs and all that, which is great, right? But Superman has not ever regained his stature. It's been more Spider-Man kind of there at the forefront, and Superman just kind of been forgotten. But now, for the first time in many, many years, you kind of have Superman and Spider-Man on equal footing from I guess a pop culture, consumption basis. Like right now, fans have really turned out for Superman. They're kind of ravenous for more Superman content, and you can see that in the fact that DC comic book sales, Batman, Superman, it's absolute Batman that really won the day. But among that is absolute Superman, absolute Wonder Woman. We have fans kind of leaning more now toward DC content, DC related characters. And Spider-Man's kind of DC, Marvel and Spider-Man have kind of taken a back seat. And it really kind of started, presenting itself with how the movies have been doing. Marvel movies have kind of been hit or miss. Last year was just a terrible year for Marvel movies altogether. They didn't really do particularly well. Whereas it was just really one movie for DC, but it was enough to kind of like turn the page on all the stuff that wasn't working previously. And man, Superman just knocked it out of the park. What's up, Jackson Roy Kirk? How you doing, man? Long time no see. So yeah, that's her number one book. It's just great to see these two characters on top. And it really feels like a battle for your comic book dollars, a battle for your movie dollars, a battle for your attention on not only social media, but Disney and Warner Brothers are just kind of going mano a mano right now, trying to tease as much of this upcoming stuff. 2026 is a real kind of, shoot them out, blow them out kind of battle. It's going to be, thank you. It's going to be a great year for comic book fans. And whether you're Camp Marvel or Camp DC, or maybe you're Camp both like me, you're just excited to see kind of this kind of peak stuff. And it's interesting because I think they asked James Gunn if there would ever be a DC Marvel crossover, and I think he, along with a lot of other industry people, have been saying, like, if there's nothing that can't be, never say never. Nothing is impossible in Hollywood, right? Everything is a possibility. So that being said, if Superman versus Amazing Spider-Man is 2026's big comic moment, and I know it's going to be huge. You're just going to see so many fans rush out and get it. There's so many variant covers. You're just going to see a lot of key issues pop up. A lot of people target, kind of like, the FOMO kind of thing, bug hitting. But I think this one has a little bit more sustainability in the sense that, hey, we haven't seen this in quite some time, and we haven't seen these two characters at the peak of their popularity in quite some time. So, with all that being said, it's going to create some fervor. It's going to create some FOMO. It's going to create generate some high sales. And with that being said, again, we're right at the cusp of the book launches. So go out and get your copies. And I see a lot of people picking up this book as well. So this is a really nice treasury edition here I have. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, normally we just kind of sign off, but my back's feeling okay. So we're going to kind of do, uh, kind of going to do some due diligence stuff. As you know, I'm planning to downsize my collection, and it's related to me potentially moving out of the country. My wife and I have been discussing an exit strategy, and I think we're both at a point where we kind of like would. It's really my wife. I'm more for like staying here, and again, I think we can make everything work. It's just that she's kind of like wanting to move back, and I don't know. I think she's just having one of those moments where like, if we do go back, what does that look like? And so we're kind of doing and I'm glad we're doing it. I think it it helps to look at the exit strategy and what we have to do to like, or just to pick up everything and go. How would that work? Because we have to consider how we mitigate our tax liability. Japanese resident or Japanese citizens or Japanese residents, if you're making income outside of Japan, like if you're making income here in the US and you live in Japan and you're making income there, or you're doing whatever in Japan, all that global income is taxable in Japan. So you're getting double taxed. Not only getting taxed in the US, you're getting taxed in Japan. So we want to avoid that as freaking much as possible. And that includes like capital gains stuff. So a lot of things to navigate. Obviously, timelines and how we structure them are important. Everything related to that, but a big part of this is, for me personally, my wife could care less, but for me, it's like, what am I going to do with my comic books? Right, Ron? Taxman, he's got the old school Hoover vacuum cleaner that'll just suck up all your money. But basically, for me, the comic collection, how do I get that back to Japan? I could just logistically pay a company to ship it. It's $1,200 to ship 10 kind of moving size boxes. That's the absolute like minimum, like 10 boxes, $1,200 the minimum service. And obviously you can move a lot of stuff with 10 boxes, but you can't move big furniture or anything like that. It's just the household stuff, right? So if I wanted to go that route, pay $1,200, and that $1,200 would be just what I spent added to the cost of what I paid for these books, which I don't want to do. I don't want to do that. It's like, these are great to have, but they're also kind of like an investment. So if you're adding more cost to what is essentially an investment, doesn't make sense to do that. So it's come down to me taking maybe roughly 3 short boxes and whatever I can fit into like a suitcase in the crevices of that, like a suitcase of books. Essentially what it comes down to is me taking a suitcase of books uh, paying the extra fare for the suitcase, which is a couple $100. Um, yeah, and taking that with me. Now the $1,200 logistics cost is still on the table because part of me does want to take as much as I want with me. Like 1,200 would fit the entire collection there. And when you consider the $200 for a suitcase versus $1,200 for roughly, 6 times the volume, it's kind of the same thing, right? But it's all in one fell swoop. The issue is we don't know how big or small our place in Japan will be. And if you watched any YouTube videos, Japan's kind of about microsizing, like living in tight quarters. And yeah, even a 3-bedroom place in Tokyo, you're not going to have space for the collection. So again, the downsizing part is an inevitability of moving back there. It's inevitable that we have to reduce the size of the collection because I'm just going to have probably a corner of space to keep my books. Just maybe a couple boxes, maybe like a shelf to display stuff on. Maybe like a quarter of this 5x5 calyx. I'll probably have like a 3x3 calyx to work with over in Japan. So that's the issue. It's by square meters, yes, square meters there. I believe, well, no, actually in Japan and Korea, I think it's measured by square meters, yeah. Just like here, I think. Well, Korea is different. Korea goes by a different unit. It's called pyong, and I forget what the square footage or meters is there, but Japan, I think, is square meters. It's measured by square meters. But all right, so we are going to now do more of this is downsizing part 2. We're just gonna kind of go through books and decide keep or sell. And I'm already letting a lot of the collectors in my area know, hey, I want to trade books. And the whole objective of the trade is to give you value for a book I want or for a kind of lesser or equivalent value, right? But give you just a lot of kind of minor keys and books for maybe 1 or 2 bigger books or maybe a series of bigger books, right? Just it's basically equivalent trade, but you're getting well, I shouldn't say equivalent trade. I'm giving you more value and more volume for a lesser amount of value in a smaller volume of books. So I'm hoping some of these sessions will transpire. I'm also going to put up the whole collection at some point right before I leave for sale. Obviously put aside some books for my fans here and people in the community. The ones I know will appreciate certain books, but put those aside for you guys and ship those off kind of separately. But for the most part, try to sell off as much as we can. And again, I did kind of a stage of buy or keep, right? And I have the keep books right there, but even those books are, we're going to go through them again and really kind of seriously filter out the stuff we really, really don't need. But for now, I'm keeping it broad. Like I'm just going to be like, I want to keep this versus I don't need this. And it's a helpful exercise. I got a lot of books that I'm kind of just like um, ready to just give up now. Like I don't need these books, and they're kind of set them aside in this big banker's box here. As you can see, we got quite a number of books in here, almost full, and things like this, right? I do actually have this still as a keep. This is just a double, so we take it out. But things like this, a lot of Marvel in here as well. The DC stuff is at the top. There's a lot of Marvel in here as well. So this is the kind of stuff that will be available for sale or trade. I'm fine with trading all of this away for roughly, like half to a third of its value in terms of bigger books. So again, if you're down to doing that, give me a message. Obviously, you have to be local. I'm not going to ship all this stuff out to like Canada or somewhere. It is going to be a local deal. All right, let's do a session of keep or sell. Here we go. All right, we're getting into some key books now. All this stuff I really do want to keep. I think I'm just gonna end up selling them though. First up, let me start by saying I do want to keep my Superman stuff. I want to keep as much of my Superman stuff intact as possible. But I'm realizing now that it probably will be impossible. So we're kind of having to, I'm not wanting to think about it right now, but at some point we're going to go through the Superman collection, Action Comics, Superman family related stuff, and comb through that to see what we really want to keep and what we can probably do without. So we want to get rid of the completionist mentality and just kind of be like, what are the books when you are in Japan and you want to enjoy your collection still and not have any regrets? What are the books that you absolutely need to take versus, taking and regretting, oh, why did I bring this down the road? So that's kind of what we want to avoid. All right, so these are more of the key books here. We've got Marvel Secret Wars #4. And I forget who did this cover. I think it's who did this cover here? Bob Layton. Bob Layton did this cover. Pretty cool. It's a pretty cool Hulk cover there. Man, see, I don't want to give this. I want to keep all this stuff. Another Bob Layton. I'm assuming this is Bob Layton as well. Maybe not. Yeah, I want to keep all these, but I think for now we're gonna put in this cell column. Yeah. Here's a book. Now this has issues. It's a low grade, kind of a mid to low grade book. It's got a couple of severe creases in the corner here, but the other parts of the book they're better. It's not as rough. Presents really great. Presents really well. Presents like a mid-grade book, I guess. Just covers. But this is a classic John Romita Jr. cover here. Also Bob Layton, I think. Yeah, John Romita Jr. This is a Bob Layton show here. Classic cover here. This is, I think, one fans are really kind of focused on. I do want to sell this one, so this will be also in the sell pile here. Oh man, this one. Transformers first collector's item issue. This is the Transformers encyclopedia kind of edition where they go over the character profiles and all that. It's good stuff right here. This is good stuff. And what do we want to do with it? I think we gotta sell it. Gotta sell it. This one will sell as well. This one normally I might be able to sell in Japan, right? It's like this is the first American appearance of Speed Racer in America, but I think Japanese people would be like, so what? Be like, we love Speed Racer, but not the American version. And this is again classic cover by Ken Stacy here. But he's got a very different take on the look and feel of Speed. Well, that is up for sale. We got some cards here on the back of. I bet these Flair uncut cards are now worth something. I want to say they're worth something now. No. Bob Layton. Yeah, Bob Layton did the inks. Bob Layton, he was actually with Jim in Japan for the Japan Con. And Bob Layton, I think he has a Korean wife or something. He lives in Korea. He makes frequent trips to Japan for like these comic book conventions and whatnot. But he also has like an art school in Asia, like, or he's trying to start his own school, like comic book art, like kind of like the Kubert school, but in Asia, right? Like teaching Asians how to draw kind of more Western style. I don't know how it's going. I mean, he looks like he's doing pretty good out there. He's like a celebrity out there because of his personality and his, of course, his body of work and whatnot. But not quite sure what he's doing out there, to be honest. But he was in Japan Con and he was kind of doing an event with Jim Lee. There's a video of it somewhere. Check it out if you're curious. All right, this is like our third copy of this. It's actually our rattiest copy, so that is going into the sell pile. As is this book going into the sell pile. These are all like minor keys again. This one is actually I kind of want to wait to sell this one because this is the first appearance of Ned Leeds as the Hobgoblin, which I think we're going to see happen in the next movie. I think we're going to see Ned Leeds die. Really believe that. So this will potentially be a big book, but again, it's in the sell column for now. Man, I really want to keep this book. Yeah, this one we're keeping. This one we gotta keep. I'm sorry, this one is. That's a good one. This one we'll keep too. Keep this one, and we'll. Lethal Protector. This is a gradable copy. Really is like a 9.8. Well, no, I'm seeing a little indent there. All right, so we'll sell it. This one, however, we'll keep. We'll keep this one. Yeah, I gotta keep this one. Let me just get the back book out of its cover. All right, this is sell as well. It's a sell. I don't want to sell it, but it is a sell. Also, it's a key. So selling this one. This is the first appearance of the Evil Miles, the one whose dad dies and ends up evil. That's a big one right there. So again, all of these are available for sale or trade. So if you want to do that over the mail or through PayPal, send me an offer. Send me an offer while I'm still like in the mood to sell these for a steep discount. So send me an offer for any of these books that you see, please. Claim them if you want. the Kenny. All right, so there you go. This one I kind of want to keep, but at the same time, oh, man. That's just a really nice cover. Like with the movie blowing up and everything. I remember when the movie had come out, this was just a huge book. And I don't know. For now, I'm going to kind of put this off to the side. We'll keep this off to the side for now, I think. No, let's sell it. Someone else will enjoy it. Someone else will appreciate the Spider-Man stuff. So all this X-Men stuff has to go. Just trying to divorce myself from wanting to keep all the X-Men stuff. This, though, I've got two versions of this. Got the got the newsstand and the direct here, 2 copies. And you know what? I'm gonna have to keep the newsstand copy. I'm gonna have to keep the newsstand copy because I like it. I like it a lot. And I can just sell the direct edition here. You can sell that one. We'll keep the keep the direct or the newsstand edition. Okay, I understand. In the collection for now. I'm just gonna rebagging and boarding as I go because I take stuff out and separate stuff. Gotta put new stuff in the old stuff, meaning keep stuff out of the sell stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Gene? I sometimes confuse my son because I'll be just like out of the blue. I'll be like, you know what I mean, Gene? And he's like, what? What are you talking about? Mean, Gene? What does that mean? Just confusing the daylights out of him with expressions like that. All right. Let me know if you like Alpha Flight. Maybe if you're Canadian. Like I feel like Alpha Flight's like a different breed in Canada, right? They're like your team. They're like your superheroes, right? So I feel the same way. I grew up reading Alpha Flight. I mean, it was kind of like peak Alpha Flight during when I started collecting. So all good right there. Alpha Flight from what was this, 1984? 83. Yeah, 1983. That's crazy. All the heroes there as well. Great John Byrne cover. That is for sale. That is for sale, my friends. All right. Well, I'm counting down the hits here. What else we got? We got some signed books. All right, we got some good stuff here. We got first appearance of Dr. Aphra. This book is about to go to the moon soon with all that Star Wars stuff. They're going full deep into Thrawn and the Rebel stuff. So this Captain Aphra stuff is, Dr. Aphra stuff is kind of right up that alley. So this one does have issues. It's got a bend in the book there. Otherwise, it's a near mint copy. That is available for sale or trade. We got the first appearance of the Next Generation, John Luke Picard and Company. This is actually a really undervalued book, in my opinion, for what it is. It's like the first appearance of the Next Generation Enterprise, the crew, just all the good, like Data. It's the first appearance of Data. Come on. Then you've got Excalibur #1. It's good stuff right there. Also a key book. All this stuff, man. All these freaking keys. All right, now we've got some ASM goodness here that I have to make a decision on. I guess we'll go back in time here. We'll start with, man, there's a lot of goodness here. Kind of don't want to have to give all this stuff away, or sell it away, but it is what it is. All right, so we've got here, I already know I'm going to keep one of these, right? We've got a lot of ASM stuff here. We've got ASM 150, Sinister 6. Or no, what is this? Just the Vulture Kingpin Sandman issue. Gil Kane goodness, right? Or no, what is this? Yeah, Gil Kane goodness on the cover. We've got Scott, not Scott Pollard. We got Jackson. This dude's name? I want to say Jackson Pollard. Yeah, I think it's Jackson Pollard. No, it's Jackson Pollock. Is it Jack Pollard? Anyway, we got a Pollard cover here, classic cover on ASM 186. So this is the one you see on t-shirts and stuff. Kind of doing the mimicking the motion there, or real key kind of characteristic of comic books there, right? Showing the movement from one point to another on a platform of canvas there. That's cool. You really like me. What's that from? Is that from Smokey and the Bandit? Thinking so. All right, so that is also available. Death of Craven, man, this is a really clean copy as well. Slab worthy for sure. Mike set cover. This is kind of one I want to keep. It's the black suit era. Kind of want to put in the keep pile for now, so I'm doing that. It's a keeper. Can't trade away all my keys. We got some top goodness here. That's available. Got another Todd cover here. That's available. This is ASM 302. ASM 323 is available. That was a statue, I think. They did Todd McFarlane Toys did a Captain America statue that kind of copies this pose and all that. That's kind of cool. That's a cool cover. Todd is a great cover artist from this period, man. Put out a lot of great covers. His internal stuff is kind of crap, but his covers are definitely good. 324, good stuff right there. These are all like from my collecting area here. Another Todd book there. All right, this is another Mysterio. There's a close-up of the hands. This one is a keeper. We're keeping this one. It's Todd Christmas cover here with MJ. Ho, ho, ho. Gotta keep that one. This one, man. This were in $1 book, I'd keep it, but it's not. It is what it is. This one is also just absolutely immaculate for a key book. Slab worthy as well. This is the first, what is this? The first appearance of Scream. Also the start of Maximum Carnage. Big book. It was a big book in the 90s. Not a big book these days. Ah, man. These are books. I don't want to keep these books, but we'll see. Yeah, we've got signed copies here. David Nakayama, Red Sonja. That's a booty cover right there, man. Look at that booty. Looking savage there. Then we got some Nakayama Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan #1. We may have to keep these ones. I'm just thinking out loud here. These are ones we may have to keep. Again, we'll just have to see. We're going to take some of these books. I am going to put them in the keep pile for now. Because these books have sentimental value to me. The ones I'm keeping all have more of a sentimental value. Are we done? No, that's more. That's some more books to shed here. As I'm doing this, though, it's kind of, I'm not spending much time trying to. A part of me is already kind of kind of open to the notion of like, all right, we got to just emotionally separate ourselves from some of this stuff. So Spidey Stories 15, Spidey Stories 23. I know these are really popular items with Spider-Man collectors. They're a little bit more scarce than typical comic book run. This is where we get into a conflict with what I want to collect versus what I should collect. And yeah, it's coming to a head right here as I show these books off. But we'll start here with a newsstand copy of Beavis and Butthead #1. This is the first appearance of our MTV buddies. MTV is no longer around. I just feel like this issue is only relevant to people like me, my generation, who the MTV generation, my generation's the MTV generation. So, and it's also the generation that, Beavis and Butthead catered to. Many a night where I was kind of not my full mental capacity self watching this and giggling along late at night. Fun nights though. All right, this is another. It is a newsstand. This is this normally goes for like 10 to 20 bucks. Newsstand, a little bit, gonna be a little bit more. So I'm gonna probably put this one 10 to 30, I want to say. Oh, sorry, 20 to 30 bucks. We got ASM there. We also got Miles Morales. These are all the 25th anniversary covers here. I tried to finish this collection, but just stopped targeting these at some point. But some lucky collector will hopefully get to add these to their collection. But these are all pretty cool books. Those are all available for sale or trade now. That's good stuff right there. It's unfortunate that I have to do this exercise, but it is what it is. All right. The next one we have here, this is a really cool one. We got some cool ones here to show off now. We got some Bill Sinkovich, Moon Knight number 3. Really cool Mona Lisa cover there. We got Adam Hughes, Betty and Veronica. I kind of want to keep that, even though it's a free comic book day version. That's Adam Hughes goodness there. And we've got Secret Wars 0, Alex Ross goodness. Also free comic book day goodness there. So that's a, you know, the thing about this is like, I like collecting stuff like this. I'm sure many of you also do. It's like absolutely worthless stuff, but it's cool. I wouldn't say it's worthless, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's cover art. It's cool cover art. This one's just so beautiful too. Ugh. Just glad I didn't go crazy with the Adam Hughes stuff, because that's a rabbit hole I wouldn't mind falling down, actually. But all right, there you go. There's what we got left. We got one more box of goodies to get through. Focus on other stuff. Whew. All right, well, this stuff is going to be interesting here. We got a Sean Chen signed Deathmate from Valiant, and a Bernard Chang signed copy of Deathmate. This was gifted to me by a local friend. This collection he gave me, which was pretty cool. And then we had both of these guys on for API. We featured them on our channels, like Nauman Young and I. So got to talk to them, got to get to know them a little bit. They're great guys, Bernard and Sean. And these ones I will be keeping. These ones. Signed books, I feel like you have to keep, right? They're just, if you're not going to get fair value for them, you got to keep them. Oh, well, here are some of the Gambit books. No wonder I couldn't find them, because they're way at the bottom of stuff I keep. All right, well, we got some bigger keys here to get through. And these will all be available for sale or trade, so not having any reservations about trying to. This is a classic Frank Miller cover here, Death of Elektra. That classic book, big book. We got, or it's not the Death of Elektra, but it's kind of like post Death of Elektra. We've got Avengers 187. More John Byrne. Avengers goodness. Kind of want to keep that. But it's stuff we don't collect, so we don't need it. I need to keep reminding myself. Oh, we got this one, really clean. 90s Gambit #1. That's clean. Mind you, this is like a cardstock cover, and you've got a couple spine ticks there, but it's a 9/4 for sure. And then we've got Adam Kubert goodness right there. Gambit Wolverine. Sure, we'll see more of them moving forward. What else we got in this little bag here? Let's pull it out and see. Oh, we got another Gambit book. Newsstand 33. So all three of these will be good to go. I want to keep the Gambit #1. It's so nostalgic. Thing is, I was not a big Gambit fan growing up, so, but First Forge Newsstand, that's a big book. X-Men. I'm going to put all my X-Men stuff actually kind of separate because I figure there'll be an X-Men collector out there. And Big B, if you're watching, let me know, because I know we talked about trading Superman stuff for a lot of this. So, and I know you like the X-Men and Marvel stuff, so if you want to do something separate off to the side with the trade, let me know. I will also be reaching out to you and I'll link this video just for you to check out to see what's kind of available. But I'm going to keep my X-Men stuff off to the side for either Big B or Bronze Age to kind of sift through. We've got first Spider-Man and Shang-Chi meeting in a giant size. Classic one right there. We also got Jack Kirby's Last Fantastic Four. I kind of want to keep this. It's a great Doom cover there as well. Kind of want to keep it. Let's see what else is in here. I do kind of want to keep this one. Yeah, but we'll sell it. It's Kirby's last cover. It's a key book. You know, just keep those for the whole pile. All right, we've got some goodies, 90s goodies right here. We've got Eric Larson goodness right there. I went on record saying Eric Larson's a better ASM cover artist than Todd McFarlane. The guy they got to follow up on after Todd's departure was actually a better artist all around, cover and sequential. And man, this is just, his Doc Ock is just so classic in a modern, like in a Todd 90s style-esque way. So good. That is available for sale or trade. I don't actually kind of want to keep this one, but it's not the best condition. It's just like a VF condition one. Here we go. This is First Onslaught Newsstand. That's a big book right there. That's a big book. We got 2 copies of that. We got a direct and a newsstand. So some lucky winner. We get all these books. This is X-Men stuff, so I'm going to put that off to the side. My X-Men stuff. And the last one here, we do have to. So, man, this is a big book. And this is slab worthy. It's got a little, it'll be a 9.4, maybe 8.5. It's got a little corner issue, but all in all, it's such a clean book. It's a newsstand #1 of X-Men Adventures. It's essentially the X-Men 97. It's the template for the X-Men 97 TV series. You got the classic suit there. You got Jubilee, got Gambit, got Flying Rogue, not Walking Rogue. You gotta have Flying Rogue. I don't know why they didn't make Rogue fly in the first one. Again, newsstand edition. This is a big book here, so that will be up for sale as well. And I am keeping this one here. This is an original from my original collection. I've had this as long as I've had any of my comic books. And I just love this Bill Sienkiewicz cover. He does the interiors on this issue as well. It's really, really cool character profile series. And really violent. It's like a more of an adult comic book. But Frank Miller wrote this as well. Frank Miller wrote this. It's as good as it gets, I think, in terms of yeah, look at that. Freaking goodness though, man. How can you give this? I mean, no, we're keeping that one for sure. Goes right into our keep pile, the keep box. The keep box is pretty full right now, so we gotta whittle these down again some more. Kind of figure out what we're doing here. All right, we got some signed books to go through, and then I think we'll be done for tonight. So, the X-Men book off to the side. All right, some of the stuff we're just going to keep, so that we'll keep. That we'll keep. Ish. That will keep. This will be. Okay, we got some stuff here that we got to siphon through here. First off, this is a really cool. All right, let's get through this stuff. I'm going to show you the stuff I'm keeping and then the stuff I'm going to keep this one. All right, I'm going to show you the stuff I'm going to sell first, or it's up for sale. And the stuff that we are keeping. Okay. So the stuff we are going to sell or trade. Got Tom Taylor's sign Deceased, #1, and Justice League. I think this is volume 3 or 4, signed by Jim Chung. Or Sean, was it Sean Chung? No, Jim Chung. Yeah. Not Jim Chung. What's his name? Yeah, it's Jim Chung. Then we've got some Bernard Chang here. Mr. Mirage, or what is this? Dr. Mirage? Dr. Mirage 1 and 2, signed by Bernard. This is a cool one. The Wicked and the Divine. It was actually signed by 2 of the creators who are featured here on the cover. So they signed their own cover. Or 3, it's 3 artists, but 2 of them, again, are featured here on the cover here. That's a really cool book. Kind of want to keep it, but we got Mark Millar's signature on this Terry Dodson cover. Be a cool book to get Terry Dodson signature, who does often come to the Comic Cons here. And then this one is kind of cool. It's a Frank Miller. It's my first Frank Miller signature on this 90s book. I kind of want to keep this one, actually. I'm going to keep it. Don't have too many Frank Miller signed books, so I'm going to keep that. All right, here are signed books that we are keeping. We're keeping Frank Miller on X #1. We got this Mike Grell, Ryan Odegawa double signature book on a key. We also have Greg LaRocque cover here. I think this is his first cover on Spider-Man or something like that, or one of his earlier cover works. I think that's what's going on here. Not sure. We got Mike Mignola on Batman. Oftentimes you see that. Batman Annual 1991. Kind of got the Hellboy versus Batman kind of thing going on there. Kind of cool. Got Matt Wagner. Love me some Matt Wagner art. Good stuff right there. We got Kevin McGuire. Booster butt shot right there. And then these are really, really kind of cool books. We got Greg Capullo on an early Capullo. I think this is his second work on Spawn. Signed in 96 there. But Spawn 17. And then we got Adam Kubert. This is really cool because this was signed a local visit to Tacoma at one of the shops that are in downtown Tacoma. Just kind of created this makeshift COA. Just affirming its authenticity there. I mean, pretty cool. So all of these are really cool signed books. Gonna keep these ones. And that's gonna do it, folks. Oh, and then we've got additional books that we're keeping that I didn't show. Let me just show these off real quick and we'll call it a night. So I'm gonna keep that one. Keep that one. The Tom King signature here. Pretty cool. Tom King on Strange Adventures. I do think we'll see Adam Strange at some point. We've got Tim Sale goodness on this one, Dark Knight. That's cool. Blades. And then we got Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, 94 signature. Read promotional signature on this book when it came out. Got Dustin Nguyen. Jeff Lemire on a Dustin Nguyen book here. We got Dustin Nguyen on a Batman book. That's a sick Two-Face cover. We got Superman 1 newsstand and Kevin McGuire Lobo. I'm keeping all that stuff right here in the collection, so that will be that. Whew. All right, well, now the sell trade box is officially full. The banker's box is officially full. So we can't really, once we got it consolidated to one box, the stuff we want to, I mean, there's more stuff we want to sell and trade, but it's kind of consolidated now. We kind of got sifted and kind of this exercise does has a purpose at the end of the day, right? So yeah, what's surprising is as much as all this cool stuff is, at the end of the day, when you do this exercise, you're fine with I find it surprising, like I'm fine with parting with it. Part of me has just been kind of coming to terms with the fact that, you know, whether we do go to Japan or not, and in all likelihood we will at some point, whether it's now or later. I mean, we will at some point, whether it's now, sooner or later, but let me catch my breath here. So, you know, we will be going to Japan at some point. So, I think downsizing is something we should probably get a head start on. Whether we actually move or not, I feel like I'm down to trade a lot of this bulk for, you know, give a lot of value away, obviously, but I'm just hoping to get more value than I'd get selling it at like a local dealer or a local seller, right? A lot of these resellers, they want to just, you know, nickel and dime you for really books they turn around and sell for like 300, 400% of their markup. So just want to avoid a situation like that. I'm not looking to get what I paid for any of these books. It's really about getting fair value for, again, getting value what I think is fair. And again, I'm prepared to give uh, a lot of value, throw a lot of value your way for you taking all the books. And hopefully they're books that you want or want to keep. That's really the main thing. Like obviously not every book is going to be to your satisfaction, but hopefully what you saw in there is enough to be like, yeah, I'll take the whole thing for here, just a couple of books, right? A couple of higher end books that I want to add to my collection to take to Japan. So that's kind of what this whole exercise is about. Now we got one banker's box kind of laid away to take to shows or take to community events. I know there's a collector in the community that's having a garage sale, or garage Comic Con type sale, and I've been asking him repeatedly, hey, can we bring books to sell or trade to this event? And he hasn't responded. He kind of just has it set up as like, no, you come and buy books, rather than it being a community get together where people can trade and sell stuff. And if it's just going to be like, come to my place and buy my books kind of thing, I don't really want to go to that. But if it is like, hey, yeah, your books are welcome, you know, and more, a bunch of local guys are there who are willing to buy collections or whatnot. That's kind of where we can connect with a lot of people. But yeah, that was fun. We're not done yet. We still got a lot of more keep or sell to do. And so we'll get to that as we get to it. And right now it's late, so I'm going to bid you farewell and have a great weekend. And we'll be back here for Otaku Reads His Comics on Monday. And we're jumping right into the Reign of Superman. So that is kind of where we'll start. And the Reign of Superman is going to be a fun read, so hope you can check that out on Monday. All right. Peace out. We'll see you in the next one.